is Alicia English and welcome back to my channel. I have been working on some huge projects on my channel, like my tiny home studio build. If you've missed it, be sure to check out the playlist on my channel. I created my very own studio space as an all-woman build. But in between these large projects, I have been itching to work on some really simple fall DIYs. So during this video, we're going to tackle some DIYs that are super easy to find the materials either at your discount stores or at the thrift store. Let's get started. All of the DIYs that we're doing in today's video are super simple to do and are very inexpensive. You can create all of these for less than $1. And if you really get creative, you can probably find a lot of these items around your house or in your own craft room. You're also going to want to plug in your hot glue gun because we're going to use it several times during this video, so you want to get that warmed up. Let's get creating. DIY number one are these really cute braided yarn pumpkins. I keep seeing textiled pumpkins when I look online, and it's super trendy for 2020. And so I really wanted to tackle this myself because I was donated 7 huge bins of yarn in different colors. So I selected a few colors that I thought would match with the decor that I'm going for my fall look in my own home. And I'm going to do some yarn braiding and use some of these discount pumpkins I found at the thrift store and at the discount store. These are super tacky and they definitely need a refresh. So we're going to apply some braided yarn straps to these. So we need some foam pumpkins, or you can even find some ceramics at your thrift store. I have some greenery fall colored leaves left from my wreath tutorial. If you missed that video, check it out. I'm going to use a couple pieces of chunky dowel. If you don't have dowel, you can use wine corks. I don't drink wine, so I'm using dowel, a little bit of ribbon, and some yarn. The first thing I'm going to do is use my yarn and cut some strips and do some braiding. If you want to have chunkier braids, you can just double up on your strings for braiding, which I think is what I'm going to do because I want these to look like luscious full pumpkins. So I'm going to use good old safety pin and help me to do a knot at the end of my braid and then be able to do a whole bunch of strands of braiding. That way I'll be able to glue them onto my pumpkins.
Going back to my old hometown, picking up the years I leave behind, getting in my
I decided to make mine chunky double wide braids, so I have 6 strands. So I'm going to divide these into 3 and do just a traditional braid. I tied a knot at the top of my strands and I'm going to use a safety pin and just pin it to my table here so that I can hold it in place, like when you were a kid and you used to make embroidery bracelets or something. And then I'm going to braid it loosely. You don't want to do a tight braid, otherwise your braids are not going to be as chunky as you want them to cover the exterior. Then you're going to need a lot of strands. I have a pile of my braids ready and I'm not exactly sure how many I'm going to need. So I just got a whole bunch done. And before I actually put on the first of these, I'm going to use my foam pumpkin. And since we're going to de-tacky this pumpkin, we're going to actually first put a hole in the top of it. That's why we need a styrofoam version of this. And then we're going to tuck in our thick knots from our braids into that hole because we're going to put our own stem on it and a leaf and add some decor afterwards, so you're not going to see that hole. I'm going to carve my foam pumpkin.
Heading back to what used to be home, passing by those little towns I know so well, stopping for gas and then I'm behind the wheel again.
The top knot of my braid here is actually going to tuck down into the hole with the hot glue, tucking in all of the ends, and then it's going to get glued all the way down and underneath. And we're going to go all the way around the exterior of the pumpkin.
I'm speeding fast to chase my soul, I'm driving to get away, running through emotions high and low, holding on or letting go, I'm fighting another day.
I have all of my braids on my first pumpkin. I plan to make 3 of these. I want to make a couple in a different color scheme, maybe do a white creamy color and then a mustard orangey color and maybe even a shade of green. But I thought this one was really neat because the strands that were in my yarn were multicolor, so it meant that I actually had some deep corals, some whites, some kind of like auburn autumn colored grays, and then of course your orange color for pumpkin. So what I'm gonna do now is use a pieces of my cut dowel that I did. I cut a bunch in a bunch of different lengths. I'm just gonna give them a light sand and paint them, put them on top, and then I'm gonna add some of the greenery leaves left over from my fall wreath video so that I can actually make these look like they have stems and little leaves on the top. Again, if you have any wine corks or anything, that would be super cute too, but I'm not a wine drinker, so I didn't have any around, but it's a great way to upcycle wine corks. So I'm just going to make this look like pumpkin stem, and I don't want to cover it all the way. I want to make it look like it's actually a piece of a stick or something. Just a little bit of green and brown paint. And I'm gonna let that dry for a second while I choose what leaf that I'm going to put along the top. And I think it would be really pretty if I had one with this mustard color and maybe one with the orange color. So I'm going to clip them off and then hot glue them on. Because I have the layers of the yarn here, I can actually tuck it right in and give it a little bit of a 3D look. So the ribbon that I want to attach this actually has a little bit of a metal foil wire on the edges. And so I've just cut a little slit. And what I'm doing is I'm going to make a cute little curly end that you would have on the stem of a pumpkin. So I'm just going to use my paintbrush, wrap it around the pole of the paintbrush. That way I can make a spring. There we go. You can see I have two little cute springs now that I can actually use as my stems. And then I'm going to attach this ribbon to the side. There, I have my very first textured yarn pumpkin. I'm going to make two more and show you in the reveal. When I think of adding fall touches to my home, I always think of fall is in the air and the amazing scents that we smell when we have fall. And I really like that pumpkin spice smell, just like everyone else. And so you kind of want to have that pumpkin spice is everything nice air that's going through your house. And so I wanted to do is pick up and use a couple of thrifted mugs to make candle holders with cute fall sayings. You can pick up really gorgeous colors for fall, auburns, browns, corals, greens, and then also just fragrances that you really, really like. We have a fragrance sensitive house here, so we kind of stick with like vanillas and just really basic scents. So putting a candle into a mug and then adding a cute saying is a really nice way to just add those small hints of fall around your house and make it smell good. You can also use mugs to actually put phrases on for just drinking glasses that you can hand wash. It's a really cute way if you're having company to add that fall touch to your home. So I'm going to use just some sticky vinyl letters and add some phrases to the front of these candle holders and drinking mugs. Okay, we were having a discussion earlier on whether or not different places in the world call fall autumn or fall. Let me know in the comment sections where you live, what you call fall, autumn or fall. Here we always say fall, but I know that a lot of people call it autumn, so I'm curious. The kids and I were talking about it. Okay, this one, I'm going to do just a really cute quote and cozy. Okay, on this mug, I'm going to do just a cute quote that says get cozy, because in fall you just want to warm up and get inside with a nice warm cup of tea. So I'm just going to do the same thing I did on the candle one, but just do the words get cozy. These little sticker packs come with so many stickers. I got 10 packs of alphabets with multiples on it for only $1. For DIY number 3, I thought it would be really fun to make an interactive game for my kids on the coffee table. They love playing games. They're at that age where everything is a fun game. And so who doesn't love Tic Tac Toe? And so I found this thrifted little tray here. You can pick these up at the discount store as well. I'm going to use some styrofoam pumpkins and some little coffee stir sticks or really thin dowels. Either will work for you, and some paint. And we're going to make an adorable fall Tic Tac Toe. So I'm going to tape off the edges because I actually like the color of the tray right now, but I don't want this printing that's on the inside. I want to make this part white, and then I can do some fun colors for the pumpkins for the Tic Tac Toe board markers. So I'm just going to use some blue painter's tape, tape off my edges so I can paint the interior floor base with my white paint. Got my tape all ready, and I'm going to use one of my Alicia English brushes. You can purchase these on my Etsy shop, and I'm going to paint the interior bottom spot with white paint. I picked up these adorable little styrofoam pumpkins, and you got 12 in a bag for under $1, which I think is a really great deal to be able to make the markers for this game we're making. I decided that I'm going to do 6 of these teal and 6 of these with a burnt orange color, giving the contrast for the 2 different markers to put on our Tic Tac Toe board. So what I want to do is make this a little easier to hold and paint them. So I'm just using a little coffee stir stick that I'm going to put in just a little bit on the bottom here to be able to hold it without getting paint all over. And then I'm going to paint the pumpkins. You can add as much detail as you want. I think I'm gonna add a cute little stem and maybe a little bit of dimension to my pumpkins, but you can get as fancy as you want. You can even let your kids paint this part if you wanted to. This is making me think of fall candy apples. Fall treats on the stick. The inside is all dry now and I'm ready to take off my painter's tape, which is super easy. And then you can just see that you've got a nice perimeter. It just keeps things neat and tidy. I always like having painter's tape around. Then I'm going to use my dowels and a little bit of hot glue and make my grid for my Tic Tac Toe sign. That way I'll be able to have the markers where the game's gonna go. I'm just gonna hot glue these into place and eyeball where they're going to go, and then I can put in my pumpkins and be ready for a game of Tic Tac Toe. Cutest ever to add to your table. I think this would be adorable in our living room on the coffee table. The boys will have lots of fun, and I'm sure if we have any guests over, they'll want to challenge them to a game of tic-tac-toe. For DIY number 4, we're going to make what I call an interchangeable pillow. I don't like to spend a lot of money on seasonal decor that's not going to be out for a substantial amount of time. And since I like to switch things up a little more often than I need to with all of the holidays and seasons, I obviously don't want to be putting things and storing them away or even discarding things that I want to use something different next year. So what I did was I hit the thrift store and I found an actual tablecloth piece. You can also find pieces that are for just place settings or even tea towels that you can use to be able to do this project. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to just cover the front side of an existing pillow that I already have. So I'm going to put a cute saying on the front of this tablecloth, and then I'm going to actually use some pins, safety pins, and just adhere it to the front. It's going to be just a decor pillow to have on a bench maybe at the front entryway. And so I can actually just unpin this off and put on a different one for a different season, saving myself money, time, and storage space. So I'm going to put some words on this, which I'm going to use with my Silhouette Cameo. If you don't have a Silhouette Cameo, discount stores and even thrift stores sometimes have a stencil section that you can use those reusable vinyl stencils to put onto your projects for a really inexpensive price.
Wish that I could stay. Wish for this moment to never go away. But it's all in my mind. And though I know that there is nothing to find.
When I'm stenciling or making my wood signs, I always use contact paper. You can pick it up at your discount store. It's a lot more inexpensive to be able to actually use that than if you were to buy the colored vinyl. It's really easy to also use that as transfer tape, and so I'm just transferring on my image that I want on the front of my pillow right now. I've weeded everything out, I'm transferring it on. You'd be surprised how well contact paper sticks to fabric, so I'm really lucky that this comes off pretty easily. Just a little bit of work. And then I'm going to sponge paint my lettering. You want to make sure that there's either a drop cloth or a piece of cardboard underneath. That way, if your paint does seep through, it's not going to go all over your furniture.
See how you roam while you roam in the streets all alone. And all you can see, thinking about what your life came to be. You're a beautiful sight in the summer night.
So cute, turned out really well. The contact paper works amazing. It says autumn is my favorite color, and it's the Canadian spelling of these letters, so don't worry, didn't spell it wrong. And we're going to attach it now to my pillow. So I'm just going to use another pillow that I already had out on a little bench at our front entryway, and I'm going to actually cover it with the tea towel, trying to get my lettering in place where I want it. Because I had a plaid, I was able to kind of follow the lines on where I wanted my lettering to go. And then I like to hold it and just flip it over and use my safety pins on the back. So I kind of just do it like I'm upholstering something, where I do a little bit of a fold in, kind of like you would do with a napkin. That way my points on my pillow corners will still look real. And then I'm just going to put in a safety pin. Now I'm not gonna hot glue this on, so I can change it every season, but you could also just glue it on if you really wanted to. And I have kids, so I make sure that it's a safety pin. So I'm gonna show you what the back looks like. I made it look super neat and tidy, and I made sure to fold the corners so they would look like real pointed corners on a pillow from the front. Since these pillows are just there for decoration, it doesn't matter if you're like puffing them around too much. They're just gonna literally sit in the spot and do their work, just making that cute fall saying. And so what I did was I made a super tidy corners in the back here, upholstering the corners with a pin, and I just did one at the top here and one at the bottom, just in case I didn't want any of this flapping. I wanted the lettering to stay straight at the front as well. So you can see it's super neat and tidy. It's a pillow that I've been using all summer long that said good vibes only, but now it says autumn is my favorite color. And I can do the same idea now and change it out for a winter pillow or a Christmas pillow. Any season I really want, just using a tea towel or a piece of scrap fabric, I can change up my pillows whenever I want, and it makes it look like I spent a lot of money on an expensive, cute pillow. DIY number 5 is one of my favorite things about when the seasons and holidays change, is that we get to change up just those few small things around the house to add those touches of whatever season it is. And signs are a great way to do that. I also love signs that I can just change out what the actual signage is, but keep the frame. That way I'm not wasting supplies or having to pack them away. I can just insert something else, which is why I picked this up thrifted, because what I can do then is I can just take out the insert and actually have something on the front side for one season, something on the back side for the other, or even just have a separate one that I can put in. So I'm going to use this frame just the way it is. If you wanted to paint it to match your own decor, you could. And I'm going to take off these embellishments and use this background painted white and make myself a cute little fall saying sign. Using the contact paper, I'm going to do the same thing I did on my pillow, but instead on the board that I can reverse for another season on the back side of this sign that I have. I'm going to lay it down, and this time I'm going to use black paint instead of white. I like the contrast of the black and white, and then I can add color with the other things like my textile pumpkins and other decor that I'm going to put in. Keeping it neutral also means I can keep it out longer and just add a few different knickknacks with it. Whenever I'm working on home decor projects, crafts, DIYs, absolutely anything where I'm creating, I'm always using Beauty Tone paint. It is the best paint that I've ever used for anything, and it's available in pretty much any color you can possibly think of. They have amazing new color lines. If you haven't tried it before, check it out. You can find it at Home Hardware. And when I'm sponging and doing my stenciling, I always use these little makeup sponges. You can actually wash these, wring them out, let them dry, or put them in those undergarment sacks you can put into the wash machine. Just wring them out really good first, and you can wash them and reuse them time and time again. So they're a good way to be a little eco-friendly when you're doing crafts. So I'm going to do some black paint on this lettering, and it says gather with grateful hearts. And then I'll be able to put this back into my frame. If you want any tips on how to create signs with no bleeding, I have a video on my channel on how to create signs with no bleeding. Lots of tips and tricks on how you can do framing and how I do all of my wood signs.
There is a life I lead in this city, hurrying to cut my teeth. I can take what I need to get by.
And there I go. I have a super cute sign. I can even flip it over and paint something on the backside for another season. Super easy. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. It's super fun to be able to create simple DIYs, especially when they're on budget and you can spend less than $1 to make them all. I like to add seasonal elements around the house that I don't have to spend a lot of money. I can get the kids involved even in making some of these things, and we can place and make the house look super cozy all year round with different seasons. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you're new to my channel, you want to check out my playlist. I have thrifted decor, upcycled, all woman builds, lots of content that I think you'll enjoy. Be sure to hit the like button if you like these videos. Let me know if you like projects 1 through 5. 5 different fall DIYs that we created for under $1 a piece. How great is that? Thanks so much for watching. I love you, and I will see you on our next video.